Hello and welcome to Between the Lines. Coming up on today's show, we sit down with the cross country and track team, take a look back at some sports that happened over the weekend, take a break at halftime and learn a new sport, and finally spotlight a KU athlete. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Weekend Update. I'm your host, Stephen Weiss, along with Hunter Velicki. As always, a bunch of KU sports action to update you on that happened over this weekend, so let's jump right into it with football. We're back on the road here at Lock Haven, and another week, another victory, 35-12. The 18th-ranked Kutztown University football team featured a season-high 4 different players rush for touchdowns, and the defensive United forced 3 turnovers as KU kept its undefeated record intact, taking down Lock Haven University 35-12 Saturday afternoon in a PSAC East Division game.
The Golden Bears have now won 7 games in a row this season for the second straight year. They've also now won 13 in a row on the road, the third longest streak of consecutive victories away from home in Division II.
And the Maroon and Gold offense, which ranks 3rd in the PSAC in scoring at 36.7 points per game before this game, nearly matched its season average, totaling 35 points. The 5th time in 7 games this season they have reached at least 35 points.
Colin Dagaba this week rushed in for a yard away to put Kutztown up on the board, 7-0 in the first quarter when it came to scoring. Ahead by just 1 point early in the second quarter, Abdul Hassan Neblet and Keegan Harvin both found the end zone on back-to-back possessions to take KU into halftime, leading 21-6.
And then later on in the game, Daryl Davis McNeil then took a pass from DeGalvo on Kutztown's second possession of the third quarter and raced 30 yards into the end zone for a third straight KU touchdown. And he later on in the fourth quarter, he capped the Golden Bears scoring in the fourth quarter.
Monty Justice led KU's defense with 8 total tackles, 2 for a loss, and a sack in the outing. The KU defense kept a lockdown on Lock Haven's offense throughout the day, allowing 12 points for the day.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this, an impressive performance on both sides of the ball like we see every week. And last week we discussed a little bit about whether KU is looking at the big picture or the small picture, whether they're looking at that championship. Obviously, they're sitting comfortably right now with being undefeated, being 7-0.
Yep.
So are you sticking with that same mentality?
I'm definitely sticking with that same mentality. You need to look at week to week is all you need to do. Do not look at that big picture because every week it's a different opponent, everything like that. You need to focus on 1 week at a time and keep moving through because that's the only way you're going to progress through the season.
Exactly, and I mean, this team always looks prepared coming into games. They're never off to slow starts. They're, right away, first quarter, they're scoring here. We talked about it a little bit with Colin DeGalvo, and they're great on in the air, on the ground, and then on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side, I mean, they're forcing turnovers. They're getting picks. It's just.
What do you think the most impressive part of this team is this year?
Oh man, I mean, it's really. I think it's difficult to say. I mean, like I said, both sides of the ball are super impressive. The offense has no problem putting points on the board, and the defense has no problem stopping the other team's offense, just shutting them down. I honestly would say not only is this team talented, but I mean the coaching staff also just prepping this team. Like I said, what about you?
I would say honestly, based off of this season so far, Colin DeGalvo is playing amazingly this year, and he's been every week he's on the show with us, and we're talking about him and his stats and everything. He's just playing amazing. I think he's the life of this team right now. He's leading them to victory.
And I would add on that while the offense is impressive, I'm like. the defense as well. I was reading the game story for this, and it's just player after player making big plays, and they have so many great talented players in key positions on defense and offense.
Yeah, this week they limited Kutztown limited Lock Haven to only 22 minutes of offensive time on the field.
Yeah, and then
versus 37 for
exactly,
Kutztown.
and they go up double digits early in the game, had like a 22-point lead. So I mean, this team is just super impressive, and this coming Saturday they will be preparing for the big homecoming game against Shippensburg, October 26th at 2:05 p.m. If you can't make it out to Andre Reed Stadium, you can catch that live on KUTV. Now, keeping things moving along here, we're going to move along to women's field hockey. They were home this week versus number 3 ranked Millersville,
who they never beat. They have never beaten them before. The seniors have never beat them in a 4-year span.
And the game didn't want to be decided in 60 minutes, so went to overtime and went to a penalty shootout. What do you think is going through this team's mind with all that pressure on them?
I know from my experience of playing high school sports and some college sports, that's just hard to get over that, of just knowing that every single time you go in, you play this team every single year. If it's 1 time, 2 times a year, you just can't beat them. And that's just something hard to overcome. And just finally being able to get over that hump is amazing, I bet, for them.
Yeah, and I mean, watching the team rush the field after the big stop is just... I mean, that's what sports are all about. It's about those big plays like that. Just a back and forth game. The offense and defense just going back and forth. Just the dramatic fashion, the win in the OT penalty shootout. The senior class of 8, they had never beaten Millersville, like we said, but that changed, and in dramatic fashion, seniors Molly Bobjack and Kyra Wozniak were successful during the penalty shootout, and senior goalie Carrie Hanshaw came up big all night in front of the cage to help get 7th-ranked Kutztown to a 1-0 victory. Millersville is also nationally ranked at number 3, so just a huge win here.
And a comment from Bobjack said, "I knew it was a big moment. And that I tried to come out and be on top because it could be a game winner. I did it for my team, my coaches, and my friends. I just dribbled up, did a half spin, and then scored."
And senior Hanshaw added, "Coming into this game, all 4 years for us, we've never beaten Millersville. So we wanted to come out and prove to them and everyone that we could beat them. We want to be a top team and set the bar high, so this win was big." Wozniak stepped right up as the first shooter and scored. Hanshaw then stopped the next 3 Marauders attempts. Millersville's Emma Butcher then finally beat Hanshaw on the 4th attempt to bring up Bobjack. The Newcastle, Delaware native calmly slotted home what proved to be the game winner. But Hanshaw first had to make that final save, and then, like I said before, I mean, the team just rushing the field. And then their next game was actually postponed to Wednesday, October 23rd at 5:30 p.m. versus Mansfield at Andre Reed Stadium. And then keeping it moving here, we have women's soccer. They were home this past Wednesday versus Shepherd. Picked up a nice, comfortable 3-0 win. I know we both got to be at that game. That was a crazy
It was a great experience. Let's say the weather was impeccable. Great rain all day. It was a lovely time. It was a great game, though. Good to see Kutztown win against Shepherd.
Obviously he's joking. It poured the entire game. So the fact that this team had to face the elements like that, but still came out with the win here, I mean, you could speak on it. That's a tough thing to do.
That's a hard thing, especially I can understand for Shepherd, of where their program it's not as good as the Kutztown program is, and having to travel 3 hours away to where it's a game that you really can't postpone due to weather and stuff like that. We had the brand new Keystone Field and all that, a beautiful field and all that, but going out there and playing in the elements that there were, it's a very difficult thing to do for anybody, even a professional athlete. It's really hard to go play in weather like that.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, but just being able to stay focused also for the KU women's soccer team, just keeping that on. Maggie Cersei scored her team-leading 7th goal inside the 10th minute of action to put Kutztown on the board first. The Batavia, New York native, is tied for 4th in the PSAC in goals scored this season.
And the junior recorded her 2nd goal in as many games in the second half to double up the score.
And then senior forward found the back of the net just with 153 after Rizzo's to cap the scoring on the day. It was Zwerkin's 4th goal of the year and 34th of her career, putting her in a tie for second all-time in program history. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for you here today on Weekend Update. Stay tuned for more Between the Lines.
My name is Anna Marie Benavenia. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I couldn't wrap my brain around that I had cancer because I always thought you were going to die. People think it's going to go away on its own, and it'll never happen. Are you aware?
Hello and welcome back to a new edition of Halftime. I'm your host, Brady Weaver, and today on the show we have Lindsay Smythe teaching me how to do some running techniques and some warm-ups. Let's see how that goes.
So we start by holding our knee,
Okay.
like a knee hug,
Yeah.
and then we'll go and take our right foot to the left arm, kind of start pulling up, hamstring pull.
Oh,
Really get that.
I was gonna say.
Ooh, you should be feeling it right here.
Oh, I do feel it. Whew. All right.
And then we'll go down, kind of reach down your toes.
Oh, we gotta be flexible here. All right.
Where do you feel it?
Feel it back here. Yup.
There, right there.
Arm swings.
Arm swings.
Yeah.
Shake out your arms a little bit.
Okay. Whew. Okay.
Bring your knee up.
Okay. Ooh. All right. Oh, butt kicks. Yes. Oh, I sure do. So are there any sort of like breathing techniques that I should know? Because like when I was running in high school, every time I tried to run or something like that, I always ended up having like a sore throat afterwards because it would always, I don't think I was breathing right.
Sore throat it's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Usually I start off the race, adrenaline kicking in, and just have to relax your breathing. Kind of breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth,
Okay.
and just keep a good form. Just keep your shoulders down too, it's another big thing.
Okay. What would you consider as a good form to you?
Straight, arms straight.
Arm straight?
When you get tired of the race, going like that's not good. Then
So-
everything else kind of folds in.
So you have to have your hands open? Would they teach you how to do like either hands open or hands closed?
I used to
Or-
run in middle school with my hands closed.
Yeah.
Kind of need you to open up. Stay relaxed. That's the biggest thing.
What makes it better with the hands open, you know?
I think it's more aerodynamic.
Better technique, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're loose, not so tight and rigid, building up.
Now, is there any way of like telling like if there's different methods of running for longer distance or shorter distance? Like, is there any mental thought in your head like of what the difference is between long and short running distances?
Definitely. When you're going longer, you just can't think about how many more miles you have left. Just keep your head up. Just think
'Cause
about the next steps.
So now I'm going to take everything I learned today and we're going to do a little competition, a 200-meter competition. And we're going to actually start this right now. shout out to Lindsay for coming out today and helping me learn some of the techniques and warm-ups to get my running game a little bit better. Hopefully next semester I'll be running into her spot, hopefully, for the team. That's all the time we have today on Halftime. I'm your host, Brady Weaver. Back to you.
Love KU sports but can't keep up with the games at work? Well, look no further. KU TV posts live updates on your favorite Kutztown sports to the KU TV Sports Twitter page. Even catch a live halftime show featuring Mike Iannacci, Tyler Trumbauer, and Josh Mastramato. Never miss a game again. Stay updated through either watching KU TV when we go live for games or through the Twitter page KU TV Sports.
Welcome to Inside the Locker Room. I'm your host, Hunter Veliky. Joining me today is Coach Ray Hoffman and AJ Kilpatrick of the cross country and track team. Thank you guys for sitting down with me today.
Thanks for having us, Hunter.
Thank you.
So far, how's the season going this year for cross country?
Really well. Coming into the season, I didn't really know what to expect. We graduated a lot of guys and a lot of girls on both sides, so it was kind of see who did the training over the summer, see who's going to come in, step up. So I've been pleasantly surprised.
How are you feeling about this season, AJ?
I'm feeling great. I mean, like I said, we lost a lot of seniors last year, but we brought in some really good talent, and we returned some talent as well. So if we could mold the talent we have, we're bound to be successful.
Now, Coach Hoffman, you are a very special coach here. You're not only the cross country coach, you're also the track and field coach.
Correct. Yeah.
What's it like being the coach for both teams?
Very time demanding. Yeah, you just got to wear a lot of different hats, but it's not as hard as it sounds, because if you surround yourself with a great staff, it makes it a lot easier. And I have an outstanding staff that was pretty much shown last year when we won our conference championships. And we weren't heavy in one event or the other. We came together as a balanced program, and that's how you win championships. So it's just putting the right people in the right places, and the assistants actually make you look better.
Now, do you find it difficult to be in touch with your players at all time, being that there's so many that it's a team sport at the end of the day, but it's a very individual-based sport? Is it difficult to maintain a face-to-face contact with all your players?
A little bit. We have between 90 to 100 kids on the track and field and cross-country team, and it's hard to sit down with everybody every day and see how things are going with them. But I make it a point certain days of the week when my distance runners are out doing a distance run, that I rotate around groups and just touch base with everybody and just let them know that the door's open all the time.
Now, AJ, what does your training regimen look like on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, I mean, if you look at a week, you'd say we have probably 3 to 4 recovery runs, anywhere from 8 to 10 miles, and we try and get in 2 workouts if it's not a non-meet week. So and pool in the morning. So pretty involved, but nothing that's any other team isn't doing.
Do you ever have a day where you don't feel like running?
Yeah, especially when the weather is not so good, like yesterday when it was downpouring.
I understand that. Yeah, running in the rain is not the best thing.
We have goals though, so you got to stick with the program and get out there every day. What the condition is. I mean, we're on the same page. We want to get better and place the highest we have in school history. So we know it has to happen to do that. You got to suffer a little bit.
Yeah. Now you're also not just a cross country. You're on the track and field team too. During both of those, do you have anything like special rituals or anything that you do before a meet or something like that to get you hype?
Music's a good thing a lot of the team uses. We try and get pumped up by listening to, music that's going to make us run faster. But any superstition stuff, I mean, I try not look into that stuff too much. I mean, I've been starting to wear my watch this cross-country season, and that's I've been running faster, so maybe that's a superstition.
Keep looking down,
right
keeping track of your time and everything like that.
I don't even really use it for the time. I just like the feel of it on my wrist. Okay. So maybe you could say that's a superstition.
Now, what brought you to be a runner in track and field too?
I started off playing hockey as a kid, ice and roller hockey, and I transitioned into track and cross country in middle school. And ever since I had some success, I just ran from there. And I really like the whole you get in what you get out what you put in the sport, and I like that. So it really shows who cares and who's dedicated. You can't not train all year, all summer, and go in and be successful. It just doesn't work like that.
Now, Coach Hoffman touched on being both cross-country and track and field coach. Yeah. You're also on both teams. What's it like balancing the schedule between the workload of both?
I mean, you kind of like once cross-country ends, it's kind of like a completely different thing. But, I mean, it's a lot of nonstop, you know, from season to season. You don't really get a break, but I like it. I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Now, this upcoming Friday, the cross country team will be traveling to the PSAC Championship at Bloomsburg. What kind of emotions have been leading up to this event for you guys?
Well, I mean, for us, what really matters is championships. You know, you have your other sports, you have your wins and losses determining if you're getting to playoffs or not. For us, all of our training, all of our early season meets just lead up to this. So, you know, the biggest thing for us is, you know, making sure we're getting everyone to the line healthy, you know, injury-free. If we do that, basically 90% of the battle is done. You're fit, you're ready to go. Then at that point, it's all mental, you know. So we feel like we're prepared. We're ready to go.
How about you, AJ? How are you feeling about this upcoming event?
I'm feeling extremely confident. You know, I think our team should be very confident going in. I mean, in my personal opinion, this is like the most well-rounded, talented team I've seen here. Even though we're young and we have holes and spots, you know, our depth isn't quite where we'd like it to be. I think we're bound to have our best finish in school history. I really do. I don't think a second or third place finish is out of reach at all, you know.
Now, we talked before the show, you said you were a senior this year.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory from the last 4 years of being here?
Favorite memory, I mean, even though like it was the women's team, but them winning indoors last year was pretty cool. Seeing that, you know, just being part of like Kutztown, you know, being the winning program. But I mean, we've been taking some cool trips since I've been here. We've gone to Charlotte a couple times, been to Massachusetts a couple times. It's been a great experience, you know.
How about you, Coach? You've been here for almost a little over 20 years now. What do you have a favorite memory, maybe?
Oh man, there's a ton of them. I couldn't even pick a favorite memory. I mean, you know, the best thing is seeing, you know, these young men and women come in as, you know, 17, 18-year-old kids, and, you know, their senior year just developing into young women and young men, and just seeing how they're not really just athletes anymore, but they're, you know, you say they're leaders, but, you know, they're almost like, you know, a figure that the younger girls and guys can look up to, and they just mature. It's just great to see them mature. You know, we just had one of our women just got engaged, you know, and seeing her come in as a 17-year-old, and, you know, she's 22 years old now, and she comes in one day and, you know, she has a ring on her finger. Just seeing that kind of stuff, developing as an adult, you know, it's special.
Through your 20-plus years being here, do you keep good relations with your previous players and stuff like that through the years and stuff like that?
We hear back from them a lot, especially around this time of year when championships roll around. You're always getting texts or emails, you know, what's the team looking like? What's the goals this year? What are we going to do? All that kind of stuff. So it's great to see them, you know, involved again.
Okay. Well, that's good. Now, you guys have another big event coming up after the PSAC Championship on Saturday, November 9th, the NCAA Atlantic Regional Championship you guys will be going to. What are you guys looking forward to that?
Well, you know what? The conference meet kind of gives us a good indicator of what we can do at regionals. It just seems like our conference, out of the three regional, conferences in the region, we're a little bit more dominant. So you throw in one or two teams here from like the West Virginia conference, but you know, usually you try to mirror what your conference finish is. Maybe, you know, try to get up one or two more spots. But, you know, our goals, I think, as a program on both sides is to finish somewhere in the top 3 to top 5, you know, on both sides somewhere.
What's your goal coming up for the regionals?
I mean, my goal is to be all region. I mean, and as well as our team is to, again, base it off of how we do at PSACs. But we're ready to roll. You know, it's a fast course. I think it's going to play to our favor. And, again, we're trying to just keep besting our school finishes. Get as low as we can go, top 3, top 4. You know, we're looking to finish up there because we put in the work. You know, we're feeling confident. So I'm excited.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for you this week. And once again, I want to thank my guests, Coach Ray Hoffman and AJ Kilpatrick of the cross country and track team. Thank you guys for sitting down with us today.
Thanks, Hunter.
We'll be right back after this break.
Want some new KU merch? Keep your eyes on the ball. Every Monday after a home football game, you get an additional 5% off all Kutztown apparel at the KU campus store for every touchdown we score, starting at 15%. Win or lose. That's 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 40% off all Kutztown apparel. The sale can be used in-store or on the website, kubstore.com.
Hello, Kutztown, and welcome to Between the Lines. I'm your host, Louis Mataboni. Today, I will be showcasing the top plays of the recent games that happened. Let's take a look.
Today, we have some top highlights of the Kutztown women's soccer game against Shepherd University. It was a very rainy and cold game, so let's see how the Golden Bears did despite the weather. Up first, we have a blistering shot towards the Shepherd goalkeeper, but it unfortunately is saved. Next, we have a fantastic effort by Kayla Arjun as she gets a shot on goal. Here we have an excellent leading pass by Anna Hall to find Kayla Arjun sprinting through the Shepherd backfield. Unfortunately, her shot on goal is stopped. Kutztown went into halftime leading the game 1-0. Next comes a booming kick from the Kutztown defense into Shepherd territory, with Maggie Searcy heading the ball for a shot on goal. Kayla Arjun scores on the loose ball in Shepherd's defensive territory, putting the Golden Bears up 2-0. Kutztown ended up winning the game 3-0. Team leaders included Maggie Searcy with 1 goal and 1 assist, Emily Zwerikin with 1 goal, and Rachel Rizzo with 1 as well. That's all for this week, and as always, go Golden Bears.
And that's all the time we have left for today. I'm your host, Louis Mataboni, signing off. Stay classy, Kutztown.
I'm Lindsay Hoffman. I'm originally from South Jersey. I'm a psychology major and I'm a senior this year. And I run cross country and track. It was kind of like half and half. I reached out to coach, and then he did most of the effort trying to get me here as well. I got in contact with him from my high school coach. When I was doing steeplechase and stuff, I would follow a bunch of runners on Facebook and stuff like that, but not one specific one. Steeplechase is you jump over barriers, so they're kind of like hurdles, but they're longer, and then you jump in a water pit, and you lift 3K. The only thing that I do is wear a ribbon in my hair. My favorite artist would probably be Zach Brown Band. My favorite memory would be just after a race, just everyone getting together on the team, or even athletes who you compete against coming up to you and just saying good job and helping you up if you are down. When I graduate, I kind of want to go into behavioral health, but I'm not 100% sure. I've just always liked working with those kind of kids and adults. So that's a goal that I want to do, but I know I have to go to grad school kind of, so. You can work in a hospital, you can, it's with behavioral and emotional disability, adolescents, adults, children, stuff like that. My favorite thing to do after a race is probably talk about our favorite parts and our least favorite parts of the race, and just kind of look back and see how we, my favorite thing about it is that how I would look back and see who I passed, who I would run with and try to stay with, stuff like that. If I wasn't to compete in running, I'd probably do soccer or lacrosse. I did those sports since I was in 5th grade or so, just as travel teams. So I like those as well as running. On my free time, I like to go out, hang out with my friends, and go get ice cream at Pops on Main Street. We'll go there as a team bonding. When we have recruits, we'll take them there and stuff like that. My favorite movie, that's a hard one. I would say The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks. My favorite thing to watch on Netflix would be Grey's Anatomy. I've had, my recent injury was I have a tendonitis in my hip. So I was out for like half a season. I am Lindsay Hoffman, I'm the player of the week.
Well, that's all the time we have this week. Don't forget to tune in next week when we sit down with the women's field hockey team. Remember, outside the lines, you only get the scores. But here, at Between the Lines, we get you inside the locker room.
KUTV on 3. 1, 2, 3. KUTV!